Our next discussion will be about the actual construction tools. So we're going to go to Tools. This is the first one on the top. I'm going to left click. As you can see, we have 6 tools: Form, Move, Shape, Biogeneric Variation, Recalculate, and Contacts. What I would like to do is I'm going to go to just in order and we'll show you how these work. Now this is not necessarily the order that I will use them, but it is just to show you what they do. Form tool, when I turn on the Form tool, you can see that it has Remove, Smooth, and Add. I like to call this Wax On, Wax Off, Hand Out Torch. So if we have the Add tool on, and I left click and just hold and draw, you can see that it's adding wax. I turn this sideways. So if I wanted to add something to a marginal ridge, I can add to a marginal ridge, and it adds in the direction that you're looking. So as you can see, I'm just adding different sections. And if I want to make this bigger or smaller, if I click off to the side here, so I'm going to click here in the center, the size of the slider will show you the amount of wax that is being added. I normally don't do the slide bar. I like to personally put the cursor where I'm going to develop. Let's say I wanted to develop this inclined plane. I would right click and hold, and then I'm going to roll the ball to get it to a size, and you can see from the orange, I'd say, oh, this is about the size that I want. I'm then going to left click and hold and then just drag the ball. And you can see that it adds quite quickly and it respects the anatomy. So that's the Add tool. The strength of the Add tool, if I turn this up to 100 and attempt to do the same thing, you can see how much more this is added. And if I would go using the same size, but then very low strength, and you can see that it just barely added anything at all. What I normally do is I like to run the strength at about 50%. So as close to 50% as I can get. And then it just seems to work fairly well. Again, if I wanted to add just a little bit into a fissure, I would right click and hold, pull the ball down towards me, and then I would left click and run the ball, and I'm just adding in those fissure lines, but it's trying to keep the shape of the anatomy. As in all the other tools, we have an undo. If I click undo, it takes it back, and it also has a reset button. Usually on these tools, I'll use the undo. So if I added a little bit over here and I decided I didn't like it, I could hit undo. The remove tool, the difference with the remove tool, and I'm going to make this, say I wanted to decrease this incisal or this inclined plane. If I left click and draw this down, as you can see, what happens is that it more or less just divots it. It doesn't really respect the anatomy. If I go back to add, I'm not changing the size, and I'm just going to add across here. See how it tried to keep the anatomy the same? This one will not keep the anatomy when you go to remove. So be cautious with remove. If you make it very small, you can see how I can cut grooves into this. You can actually cut as deep as you want, and eventually I'd end up onto the actual preparation of the tooth. The smooth tool acts just like a hand-out torch. And what I mean by that, I'm going to right click again, and I'm going to blow this up, and if I run it along, it takes a high spot and a low spot and blends the two together. See how it's just flowing this like it's a wax and it's a hand-out torch. It does take the anatomy off because it's a hand-out torch. It's flowing and it's just smoothing everything down. Strength is a big factor on this. So if I turn the strength up to close to 100%, you can see how quickly this melts everything. So I always run all my tools at about 50%. I'm going to undo that. So we're back to where we started from. So we've done the remove, smooth, and add. And this is all under the form tool. The next tool down, if I left click on it,